submissions for the draft annual plan, and if I could call the New Brighton petition leaders, Esther Perriam, Kathy Baker and Robbie Bagent. And from my notes here, I understand that the petition leaders, because they're representing the entire petition, that you are taking 15 minutes to present to us and respond to questions.
Oh, why is that not big?
Lovely, thank you.
Sorry, just use the arrow keys.
Yep, it's just going to go by itself, I think. Yeah, it's all programmed and ready to go. Atamarie, kia ora koutou. Good morning and thank you all. Madam Mayor, councillors, thank you for hosting us here in the chambers today. My name is Esther Perriam. With me today are Rebecca McAllister, Kathy Baker, Robbie Bagent. We're here to speak on behalf of these people. We're here because you asked us a question. You asked us, did we support the Christchurch City Council fiscally supporting the hot salt water pool project in New Brighton? I'm sure you've all had to read what the people had to say, both in the coastal ward and across the city. I think I can sum it up pretty succinctly. Hell yes. They support not only the pools, but anything that regenerates and repairs the vibrant coastal suburb that is New Brighton. It's been said that a picture paints 1,000 words, so here's a snapshot of the many, many diverse and activated community members who'd like to thank you in advance for your support. Kathy.
Thank you very much, and thank you for listening to us today. I was one of the people who accosted people at the market on Saturdays to see if they would be interested in filling in the submissions. And what really hit home to me were the number of people who came from outside the coastal area to visit the market on a Saturday and who were in support of the pools. We had people from Rolleston and Hornby and Sockburn, Burnside, Worsley Spur, Cashmere, St Martin's, St Albans, Shirley, and I go to the market regularly, but of course I'd never really sort of stopped and said, hey, where are you from? And so with this, and they'd say, well, we're not from your area, and I said, but this is for the whole of the city, and they said, yes, we think it's a great idea. And so probably a good quarter to a third of these are from people outside the area, the New Brighton area. So I think that's really quite an important point. Another interesting thing was I was talking to a lady who regularly goes up to Hanmer because she has rheumatoid arthritis and she sits in the pools and she can only manage to get up there once a month. And I hadn't actually thought of the therapeutic value of having this hot salt water pools in our area. And she said if they were in Brighton, she would be able to get there at least once a week because she felt that just sitting in the pools in Hanmer really, really helped her and helped her pain level. And so it's not just going to be a recreational thing, I think it'll be a therapeutic one as well. I think that's probably all I need to say. Thank you.
Tēnā koutou, kia ora koutou katoa. Ko Rebecca aho, ko South Brighton Taku Play Centre. I'm a play centre mum, and I spend most of my time with sleep-deprived mums, parenting their under fives. And I just want to say what a sort of inspiring community I'm involved in, and I was really lucky to be involved in the Link project last year, and we learnt. I met Esther through the Link project, and the support that we've been given and we can see happening in the future is really tells us, that Brighton can only continue to get better and better. So mā te huri huri, ka rere te manu, with feathers the bird will flourish. And we're surrounded by loads of inspiring people who sort of I think act like catalysts, and if I can speak from a science teacher's perspective and say that a catalyst is a substance that increases the rate of reaction, but it's not changed by the reaction. And we're all human beings, so there's lots of people here who really increase the rate of this reaction, I think. But being part of Christchurch, we've all been changed by what's happened, and I think everyone here has been changed by what's happened, but in a positive way. I think things like this and the Link project and other things that happen help the catalysts in our community look after themselves so we can keep on contributing to the community, and then we feel that benefit that comes back from you guys. So it's a thank you for everything that you've done.
Hey guys, Robbie Bajan. Lived in Brighton for coming on 20 years. I'm a bit of an outsider to some there, but when I shifted here and looked around where I wanted to live, I looked at Brighton. It's a seaside suburb, it's a stunning area. Moved in there and couldn't believe the attitude that came from elsewhere and the lack of input into the area. Then the earthquakes happened and it got decimated. A lot of us work really hard over there to try and pull this area up. Community's very, very tight. They work together, and there's a lot of different attitudes and a lot of different walks of life, and it makes it difficult. What we've seen with this is that it hasn't mattered from what walk of life people are in, they want something to happen. And that's where this has come about, and the hot pools is the start of something happening. It's something that the whole community has come together and said, hey, let's get this place going, let's get it started, and looking at the aspect that if we can get something that's going to bring the people, then there'll be others that come in to keep the people there. Brighton needs this now. You know, we've all worked hard, we get different events running. Esther does the surf festival, we do rockabilly, you've got kite day, brings all these people in, they come in, they stay for a couple of hours, they stay for a day, then they all disappear. What we want to do is get these people coming in and saying, hey, let's stay longer, this place is awesome. These hot pools are the start of that. It's not the be all and end all for Brighton, but it gets it kick-started, it gets it going. Getting the money released for this just sees things moving, everybody then sees that, hey, something's going to happen here, this place is going to be fantastic again.
And it's such an amazing area. I'm actually really grateful that nothing much has happened in the Brighton area. If something had really been done in the 80s, the area would have been ruined. But now we've got this environmental jewel as part of our city, and I think it's something that really needs to be valued. We've got the salt marshes, we have the Travis wetlands, where I've been told there are birds that don't exist or live anywhere else in the city. We've got the estuary, of course, which is absolutely beautiful, and then of course we've got the amazing coastline. And I've just got a new neighbour who's come down from Napier, and she runs a 60-bed hostel in Napier, and her husband is in fibre optics, and so he's working down here with all the new whatever it is, I don't understand it. But so they've moved down here for a couple of years, and she's now thinking of staying, and she cannot get over how beautiful the beach is. She said it is absolutely stunning. And I said, but you've got a beautiful beach up in Napier. She said, it's nothing like this. It's nothing like this. And I thought, wow, they've only been here a month. And she really, really appreciates it, to the point that she's thinking that they might actually put a hostel in New Brighton. So I just thought that was fantastic. Yeah.
So I don't know how much time we've got left, but I know that we need to let you guys ask us some stuff too.
Yep.
So what have you got?
We've got 6 minutes, so Pauline.
Yeah, thank you. It is exciting stuff, and I love Brighton. You've got it all as far as I'm concerned. What do you think would be an acceptable entry fee for these pools? What do you think the locals would pay to go?
Well, we don't, I suppose the thing is we're at the point where we don't know what the pools are going to look like. Is it going to, are we going to have, 3 25-metre pools and some indoor, outdoor stuff? We don't know. So I think we need the seed funding from you guys to get this to start happening. And then, of course, there's going to have to be a business model laid out over it, whether or not there's going to be a private equity partner who wants to come in. We don't know. So because of that, it's really hard to determine. I mean, I think it's great that, down in New Brighton we've got the Rafferty School who do the $1 pool, or it was a $2 pool this summer. If we've only got a tiny hot saltwater pool, then maybe we can't charge much for it. But if we've got a complex like Hamner, well, then we're talking about something different. I think probably for me, one of the biggest things that I think about is I really, really want it to be covered. So I think that will put the cost up because we will have to heat a space.
Where I'm coming from is that if we have a very large high capital cost project, the entry fee may actually exclude New Brighton local people, and I'm a bit worried about that.
I think that takes an attitude that a lot of people have got, that New Brighton's very low decile.
No, I don't mean that at all, but it could actually mean that only
entry
people from out of town and tourists could come in. It might be exclude the whole of Christchurch,
I think there's initiatives that you can do, like in Huranui Council, where if you can prove that you're a ratepayer, you get cheaper admission to the Hamner pools. There's ways and means, I think, that we can work around making it a community resource. There's, you can set aside certain times for communities.
Everything's cost relative. It's not just about New Brighton locals. It's about Christchurch. It's about the South Island, North Island, our overseas visitors, dragging everybody into our area. It's not just about New Brighton. It's actually getting New Brighton on the map and letting it grow from that point.
Glenn, then Sarah.
Kia ora, team. Just a question over the what this would mean for the area. So I'm trying to ask a question about what do you think the kind of impact on community well-being might be. So you and I all know what the area's been through. So what do you think? Economic studies are one thing. It's fine. We'll just park that. But what about the actual social well-being? What do you think?
I think it'll give the most enormous lift to the people who live there. They've had a sense of disenfranchisement and being left, and so I think that by the council doing this project, the people will feel that yes, we're actually included in the city, not excluded.
Sarah.
Thank you. And can I just say what an amazing community Brighton is? I mean, we've heard from the community board, there's 150 different community groups in the area. There's the community board presentation the other day showed us the great number of events and things that are held there, 10,000 visitors a month to the pier, those kind of things. So actually, there's a lot of really good stuff that you guys do out there, which is absolutely excellent. And really cool to see that this wasn't just a petition with just a whole pile of signatures with one thing at the top. The people had the space to write in it, and that many of them took up the opportunity. One thing that I did notice was that through that, and in fact Robbie's comment as well about council not doing anything in the area was really interesting, and I'm just wondering if council communicates to the community particularly well over things like QE2 and the $8 million that it's already working towards doing the whole waterfront up with the playground, the heated whale pool and splash pad, the new playground, all those free things that bring people in, and whether people are actually aware that work is actually happening, because it seems to me that people think that this is the first thing, the hot salt water pools.
People are aware, but again, it's been, I mean, the playground and the whale pool was signed off years and years ago, and nothing happened. And when we started this petition, it was only around that time that some signage went up about the playground actually starting to happen, and some of that attributed to DCL coming in and starting to get going, but it has been a hell of a long time frame for anything seen, talked about, and then actually being enacted.
I think there's also, sorry, just to add to that, there's a sense of inequity when it comes to how New Brighton's treated, and personally, I'm a real hater of the suburb versus suburb thing.
Me too.
I don't think it helps. Because anything that's good for another community, I'm going to support whether I live there or not. But it's not actually very hard to look from one side of the estuary to the other and see the work that's been done around the causeway. It's not hard to drive through another community and see a brand new community centre. It's not hard to drive through other suburbs and see that there is no rubbish on their streets and that their rubbish bins are emptied. So there is a reality that something is wrong in New Brighton, and I'm not sure if it's due to a lack of council spending or how that spending is allocated. But I would love, Councillor, to take you around New Brighton any day of the week. We can go have a coffee. There's some fantastic coffee places. But if you and I took a walk around your ward and then took a walk around my ward, you would see differences.
Absolutely.
And that's probably really what it comes down to.
Yeah. Can I follow up quickly?
There's others that want questions. Yeah, Phil.
Look, I just want to ask you, for a start, look, I love New Brighton too. My grandchildren live there, and it's a very important place for me. On Thursday, we had a submitter who said, look, whatever you put in New Brighton, please make sure that you have all of the information, that you have all of the reports. So, like, as council, we haven't got all of them yet, and some of them are coming. But I'm just wondering, would you agree with that, that in fact, we have to make sure that in fact, things are done right in New Brighton?
What kind of reports are you talking about? I mean, there's been community consultation for a very long time.
Sure.
If you're wanting those sort of things.
So I guess, like,
no.
we're very soon going to get the finished report, if you like, or the review of the Tonkin and Taylor Coastal Hazard Report. There's also a council staff preparing a multi-flooding report, okay? And I understand that NIWA, for example, are preparing, it's not far off, a report on tsunami. So they're the kind of, I guess, coastal reports.
Yep, absolutely. So there's a couple of aspects to it. Of course, we have to have all the information, but there's also the fact that, as a council, you have a statutory obligation to provide for the people who live in an area. And the coastal sea level rise, no one here is a denier, but we know that will happen in the next 50, 75, 100 years. There are those of us who are going to live out the rest of our lives in New Brighton, and statutorily, you guys are required to give us facilities for recreation and play and enjoyment of our community. So maybe New Brighton won't be there for my great-great-great-grandchildren, but I sort of doubt it, because I've also been to university and learnt about coastal landforms, and I know that we live on an accreting beach. I know that our sand dunes are built because of the fact that Waimak continues to dump sediment on our shore. So yes, absolutely, there is challenges, but there are challenges in every area. Look at Flockton Basin, you can mitigate that. If there's challenges to sea level rise, then, there's been a lot of work done in other areas, perhaps over the other side of the estuary. We're just asking for equity.
Yeah, I think some of the spending isn't entirely visible. A lot of it's underground and
we know, because we still have
pump station down.
Yeah.
I can't remember the actual cost of the pump station down Pages Road, because I didn't go to the opening of it. It's not so exciting cutting a ribbon on a pump station as it is on the Aranui Community Centre, which is also just down the road. I mean, the extent of the damage that's been done in our city, it is going to take time. But I think what you're receiving from an indication in terms of the consultation document is that we put money on budget for a legacy project for New Brighton. It wasn't enough, and so what we're asking the people of Christchurch is, can we put on more? And that's the question.
Hell yes.
Hell yes too. So look, thank you very much for coming in today, and for we're all actually very grateful that you've come as community leaders to present the whole petition on behalf of the community. But we do have others who've also submitted the petition and asked to be heard as well, so we're going to invite them to come forward.
Thank you.
And I think Esther's